I have one person that I've roofed 3 homes for them. One home twice,
Okay.
and when they moved, we roofed that one too.
Okay.
And it's because that relationship was very, very much cultivated early, and we focus more on the relationship aspect of it, and anything that you're doing in that, like your entire presentation, professional, like dialed in, very much about the relationship more than anything else. That's where it needs to be. And we see contractors get short-sighted and again, focused on just that one isolated situation instead of the lifetime value of all those individuals.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Building Business Podcast. My name is Sancha and I am here at JobNimbus. Really quickly, a little bit about me before we dive into the exciting things we're going to talk about today. I come from a background of working at a roofing company, and in a really fun turn of events, I ended up here at JobNimbus serving contractors in this industry through technology. Now, on this podcast, we are not just talking about technology, we're talking about a lot of experts in the space who have so much wisdom to share with you. And today we are going to be talking a lot about the proof that professionalism does pay off, and that professionalism isn't a luxury. It is something we should really be thinking about more when it comes to creating profitable systems in our business. I'm gonna let our guest today introduce himself. You may recognize him, you may have heard him speak before, and we are just so honored to have him in our studio today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm John Senac. So I've been in the roofing space, the construction space for almost 15 years now. And it's been a really, really fun ride. But I'd say the last 5 years have been the kicker for me, that when we made that transition from 2020 into 2021, there was a lot of things changing in the industry. And we introduced a Facebook group called Name That Shingle, and then a service called NTS, where we would identify shingles, and started releasing classes and private trainings, and all in a year's time that just blew up. And it was humbling to go through that learning curve and just watch some of the shifts in the industry. And we solved a pain point that was going on at that time, and it was just a lot of fun. And now it's grown into this great thing where I get to be part of contractors' lives in 25 different states and really get to deeply experience the diverse aspects of the industry and how it can change from one state to another and what everybody goes through. So there's a short version of my last 5 years.
Okay, we have limited time, so let's dive into this.
Love it.
When we think about contractors, so taking all of your wealth of knowledge and experience, when we think about contractors, and I suppose this applies to all kind of careers, that there are shortcuts we can take. Everyone has learning curves, can make mistakes. What would you say are kind of the common shortcuts that you see contractors making in their businesses right now?
That list could get long quick, but I'd say some simple ones are, for me, I'm going to focus a lot on the contractors that are more in the restoration and storm damage space.
Yep.
It tends to be the contractor that I'm around a lot.
Yep.
They may have a retail brand, they may have a retail side also, but that's what I experience. So I think that those contractors, they take a few shortcuts in training. And I don't think it's intentional. I just think that space changes so much and moves so fast.
So training the reps?
Training the actual
teams?
reps.
Okay.
And then the trickle-down effect that is, then that ultimately provides a disservice to the homeowner. And the homeowner's not getting all the information they need because the reps that are interacting with the homeowners don't have all the information that they need. That's one of them.
This comes up a lot, especially in the space that you're in. There is money to be made.
Yes.
And very fast.
Yeah.
So it would make sense then that they would skip over potentially the standardized piece.
There's very much an incentive for those salespersons. You know, they want to get sales and they want to get there quick and they want to get those moving. So rushing through that, getting to the customers and getting to the point of sale and trying to get these things set up, there's a lot of little shortcomings that happen. I'm not saying every roofing company does it, but there's still this driving factor that individual does want to sell, and how much do they really pay attention to the training, the content that they need,
Yes.
and how deeply do they understand it?
And then getting to that point of sale too, and it's like, okay, they've done their job.
Yep.
The homeowner has said,
Yes.
thumbs up. Great. Like, what's the impact then if that training hasn't been done? If it hasn't been teed up?
There's a lot of misses that can happen.
Yeah.
You know, they may show a homeowner damage that's happened to their home, but it's just not enough damage, or it's not right for the insurance that they have because they just don't have the broad knowledge to understand what it really takes for a claim that's worth it to a homeowner.
And
it's not their
homeowner's
home,
confused.
right? So the homeowner's confused. So that's one thing that can happen. Then they get to that point of sale, the homeowner is, moving forward with that process. And I think that we still see, unfortunately, a lack of use of technology like JobNimbus to provide the homeowner streamlined information, consistent information, updates on the progress of things, how they're moving through things. Good contracts, good presentations, upgrade options. There's a lot of little pieces missing in there that continue to happen. And again, I think that especially in the restoration space, they can get so tunnel vision where it's like, this house has damage and I want to get this one sold and I want to get this one closed, and all I need to do is sell just the roof because it's the thing that has damage, and they kind of get this tunnel vision in there that they get distracted and they don't continue to absorb information, use the other resources, and it's just, I see that a lot.
Okay, so on that note, I think in addition to shortcuts, what do you think are some of those mistakes or shortcuts that cost like money? Which obviously this does impact potentially.
It does. So one of the first ones I see is if they go out there and they tell a homeowner that we think you have enough damage and it's just not really a good claim that the homeowner should file, you pretty much burn that bridge.
Right.
I'm a big believer that you should treat everybody lifetime customer, right? Whether they're going to close today or they're going to close in a year, or they're going to close in 5 years, they're going to sell, right? They're going to buy, that you should treat them like a lifetime customer. So, right, you don't want to take big risks for your own benefit because you should treat them like a lifetime. I have one person that I've roofed 3 homes for them. One home twice, and then when they moved, we roofed that one too. And it's because that relationship was very, very much cultivated early, and we focus more on the relationship aspect of it, and anything that you're doing in that, like your entire presentation, professional, like dialed in, very much about the relationship more than anything else. That's where it needs to be. And we see contractors get short-sighted and, again, focused on just that one isolated situation instead of the lifetime value of all those individuals. I have customers that never bought but have referred me several clients. But it's because we were worried about the relationship and doing the right thing in that particular situation, not what do we do to push this, or hurry up and get out of here because there's nothing here for me to do.
I think also in this industry, and I feel this, I would say I'm often driven by empathy. So even just
it's
that,
like,
I mean, most of the time. But the idea that you have empathy for the homeowner and that their home has been damaged or maybe has been damaged, and they don't know, and they don't have the expertise to discern that for themselves. And so meeting them where they are and not taking advantage of that confusion.
I say this a lot, to sell with an act of service. You should be really thinking of how you're serving that homeowner.
Practically, what does that look like?
Well, I'll tell you where it starts.
I'll
tell you where it starts, and this is really a good one, actually. Every time I sit down with a contractor and I say, I want to understand how they operate, how they work, what does their business look like, how do they engage with their customers? And then we write what the internal life cycle looks like, right? And here's what the sales rep does, and he goes out and does this, then he presents this, and then he presents this. And sometimes it's choppy and I'm cringing in that moment, and sometimes it's beautiful. They're like, and then this happens, and then this, like it's like, wow, and you use a lot of your CRM, that's fantastic. And then we go, all right, now what does your homeowner's life cycle look like?
Yes.
And it's like deer in the headlights for a lot of contractors. They're like,
what?
Like, what's the life cycle for them? That's great that this is what your rep does and your production does and your supplement team, your estimate, that's great. I love that. But what does your homeowner's life cycle look like? What does their experience look like? They're like, well, so we talk to them here, and then if we get this, then we do that, and then maybe here. And I'm like, that's not a professional presentation at all. Like you're not serving that homeowner. You're not protecting that homeowner. You're not guiding that homeowner. You're not advising that homeowner. There are so many pieces missing that can be found if you just put yourself in the homeowner's shoes and you looked at what is their experience, what does their life cycle look like? And when you look at their life cycle, you're like, oh, they need a text here. Oh, they need an email here. They need an update if it's been more than 2 weeks and we haven't communicated with them. And that's, again, where you start utilizing technology to your advantage so you don't have to think about those things, because you can automate so many of those things now. It's make life easy. But if contractors took a moment to really look at their homeowner's life cycle, what does that look like? I think you're going to find that there's communication, there's gaps, there's stuff missing that will make you stand out to the other contractors. When you're competing with somebody, there's pieces that those other contractors aren't doing that if you were doing that constant touch and update and providing professional information, you stand out.
As someone who works in marketing at JobNimbus, I consider this as well, but on a bit of a different flip side. So JobNimbus is a B2B solution for B2C companies.
Correct.
Who are then, there's the homeowner piece. And so at JobNimbus, we talk a lot about the hero's journey, which can sound very cliche, but I actually have a fine arts background. And so Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, the 12 steps, is something I've studied. And so one of the things that I did was let's take JobNimbus as a technology. And then what is the journey that you go through and what are those steps? And then what is that like for JobNimbus customers, users, contractors? What is their experience both in purchasing it and in adopting it, using it? And then another level, what does that look like for the homeowner? What does JobNimbus tee up so that homeowner lifecycle is served? And so I love to hear you say all of this. This makes me really excited. I think we're very aligned. But I think that consideration is so important.
They come to JobNimbus and they're wanting to solve their problem, but they need to actually put on the forefront, how do we solve all the homeowners' problems?
Yes.
And then solve our problems as well in there. It's a much different lens to look through.
Yeah.
What CRM is great and why.
Yes.
When you look at it that way and you realize all the things that can be automated and skipped and cut and made simplified
and
for you, right?
And payments can be easy.
All of that.
Or yes.
Look at it through the homeowner's lens, and you're going to find there's a lot of gaps missing in there.
Yeah.
One of the other businesses I created, NTS, we write reports on what a shingle is. And when we looked at the competition on the market, there was only one competition. But when we looked at that competition on the market, I just felt like there was information missing that a homeowner, the building owner may want to know. So I designed the reports to be very, very digestible for the end user, the actual person that owned the building.
Yes.
And contractors for years were like, oh man, you did a great job. We love this. This is exactly what we needed. And I was like, funny how that works out because I didn't design it for you. I didn't design it for contractors. I didn't design it for insurance. I didn't design it for attorneys. I didn't design it for any of those individuals. I designed it to where a homeowner could look at it and be like, this is all the information from the manufacturer and this is everything that we need and this is great. So then when a contractor sat in front of them and said, hey, we can go buy this product. We can find it. We can't mix it. It wasn't the greedy contractor trying to sell them something. It was this nice presentation that a building owner could digest. And then I just challenge contractors to look at your business that way. What's best for the end user? What's the information they need? And when they look at it through that lens, it changes.
Yes, there's that education piece. I think that's like the homeowner, again, for many, when they're purchasing, or say their roof gets damaged or it's a retail project.
Right.
It's for many the first time that they will ever make that purchase.
1 to 2 purchases, that's it. For most people, once or twice in their homeownership lifetime, once or twice.
Exactly, and so it's a new buying experience. It is not something that we just hop on Amazon and you purchase, as nice as that would be. It's not, and also the what is being fixed or installed or replaced or made new is very precious. In most cases. For some people, they have multiple properties, sure. But for many people, it is their home. It is their safe place. It's the thing that they saved up so long to buy. And so really considering that in the equation.
It's one of their largest investments. The roof is 30 to 40% of the facade of the home in a lot of cases.
Yes.
So the aesthetics of the home, it's 30 to 40% of that. It's the water shedding feature on the home.
Yes.
A lot of people don't plan for it. There's no savings account when they bought the house. They're like, so I have 10 years left on my roof? Okay, then I'm gonna start putting $2,000 aside. That doesn't happen. It's like HVAC. Your HVAC has a problem. You call and you're praying that please be a repair, please be a repair, please be a repair, right?
Last week, yes.
And then they come out and they're like, well, you're doomed. And you're like, dang it, right? It's very unexpected. It's not planned for. It's not saved for. There's very few people have put aside or planned for that. So when these things happen, it's not exciting. It's not sexy. It's not fun. And you have to realize that in your homeowner's experience that this wasn't something that they came to you like, I've been looking at this black shingle for 3 years and we're finally ready. We're so excited to get this roof.
Yes.
Give us your quote. That's not how they come to contractors.
No, and then I think too, as well, they are looking for a reputable company a great customer experience. Do you have any stories of contractors who have kind of implemented the things that you're talking about that have had big impact?
I'll give you some fun ones that people have implemented that we've trained.
Yes.
QR code on the back of your ID badge, right? So you get everybody an ID badge. You look professional. They're not expensive to do. Put a QR code on the back of it that has an introductory video for your company. And that way, when you show up for your inspection, whether they called you and it's an appointment or someone knocked that door and says, hey, we can see you're missing shingles, and they're talking about that. While I'm up there, can you take 2 minutes and watch this? And they scan that QR code. And that homeowner, instead of like going to their phone inside, like especially on a cold knock, right? Like you knock the door, you look around, you get up on the roof, and while you're on the roof, they're like, maybe I should check this person out. And they're going in there and they're looking where they find the information. Provide them the information you want them to see first.
And control the narrative.
Right?
Yes.
Because and we say that all the time, and me and my buddy Chris have a mastermind group, and we say control the narrative a lot. Yeah. It's a very, very common phrase. Actually, one of our rules in there is to control the narrative. And when you give them a guided tour instead of them wandering, it is a much better experience for the homeowner. So that's one thing that somebody implemented. And another big one I'm a believer in is along the lines of lifetime customers, you should be offering service, maintenance, and annual inspections. Don't just walk away from one because they weren't ready to buy today, because the next person could knock that door, the next person could advertise to them. You know, you have to find a way to try and retain somebody who's not ready now, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. And the people who have implemented those programs have been wildly successful. So, and then there's a guy in California did a really, really cool thing where when they get done with their inspections, they do a guided tour of everything they saw.
Yes.
And the rule is to keep it less than 2 minutes. A guided tour of everything you saw, and they transfer that video to the homeowner right there on site. And nobody else is doing that. So it instantly made them stand out. So I love those little things.
Yes.
I could train people my system on how to stay in your sandbox as a contractor and how to really provide good documentation and what to do when there is damage and things you want to prepare for the homeowner so they can handle their claim, because the contractor can't work the claim. That's just, they're not an adjuster, right?
Yep.
So how to stay in your sandbox, that I could duplicate and repeat across the country. But the people that do the extra, do that little bit of extra that makes them stand out, that's the professional piece that we've seen contractors have crazy success with.
And I think too, without, a huge tangent into AI, we're seeing a lot of like very fast information. Things are happening, being produced, there's shortcuts, there's efficiencies. I don't think it's always shortcuts. I think sometimes it is actually getting rid of the busy work. But I think as a human, at least I'm experiencing this, and I think we're seeing it as well, is that people are craving that human connection, those little things that AI can't do.
Yep.
Not that you can't use AI to streamline or systemize or whatever, but like those pieces I think are going to become increasingly powerful in the consumer experience, where it's like, oh, you thought of me. You took that extra minute. You didn't just go to chat, put it in, have them optimize this communication and send it to me, and now I'm just getting fed a bot.
Yep.
So I love these examples. And for those of you listening or watching, like write those down, because I do think that those go that just like little bit extra, and obviously are making impact. So, I like those a lot. I would love to know where viewers and listeners can find you. You mentioned some Facebook groups.
Sure.
Where can people go to learn more? Because
So
obviously you have like this little like toolkit of secrets that everyone needs to access.
So I have a lot of different options. Let's talk about just the general options, and then for those of you who may be interested in training, I'll give you some of those options too. Almost every social media platform is going to be John the Roof Pro. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, John the Roof Pro. But Facebook, John Senac. You actually have to, my personal page is the one that has a lot of the following. And if you're on Facebook, I have a Facebook group called Name That Roofing, Siding, and More. It's a very large Facebook group. If you are a contractor, get your team in there. There's a lot of information passed in there, a lot of questions in there, a lot of good engagement in there. Be sure to answer the questions and accept the rules, otherwise we don't let you in. Outside of that, I have another Facebook group that me and Chris Zimmerman run. It's called Master Your Craft, and that is, Master Your Craft group. And that is our private mastermind. So we have a Facebook group you can join, but then we also have a paid group that you can be a part of for monthly trainings. And outside of that, just reach out to me if you have questions about private trainings, me coming to see your team. You can go to johntheroofpro.com and look at upcoming classes or fill out a form if you're interested in training. Lots of ways you can find me if you are looking to get a hold of me or looking to follow me on any platforms or watch any of the content.
I'm so appreciative that you're here, and I feel like I could talk to you about all of this for quite a long time. So I appreciate that you got what you did into the short time that we had together. I am, yes, incredibly grateful to have this conversation. This aligns a lot with what we do here at JobNimbus and what we care about. And we care about these contractors, and we care about that ripple effect beyond being a tech tool that hopefully can help with some of this life cycle piece and automating and creating those standardized processes. But I think in addition to that, what can you do not just with the tools that you have, but also with what you can do with, you said, service first?
Sell with an active service.
Yes,
What's the service that the homeowner really needs, and focus on that service. It changes your lens that you look at the entire process with.
Yes, so combining those pieces, the tech and the service and that human connection and what you can do there. And I truly believe then profitability and impact comes. So if you've enjoyed what you've heard today, like and subscribe. We will have more episodes. We're grateful to have you here, and we will see you next time.